Hello and welcome to Byju's IAS. Let's get started and look into our daily quiz. Let's look into the first question. Which of the following regions fall under seismic zone 5? Entire northeastern India, parts of Jammu and Kashmir and Himachal Pradesh, Andaman and Nicobar Islands, Run of Kutch in Gujarat, Delhi NCR region. Which of the regions fall under seismic zone 5? The answer to this is 1, 2, 3 and 4 only. Why have we taken this practice question? Because of the reference given in this Hindu article. We have the Bureau of Indian Standards. The Bureau of Indian Standards has classified India into 4 seismic zones. This classification is done on the basis of historical data. Let's say there is a specific region which has seen number of earthquakes in the past, more seismic activity in that particular region. On the basis of historical past, we have the Bureau of Indian Standards which has classified the seismic zones into 4 zones in India. What are these zones? We have zone 5, we have zone 4, we have zone 3 as well as zone 2. What is it about zone 5? Zone 5 happens to be those regions which is most seismically active region. More earthquakes happen in this particular region, and when it comes to the zone 2, this happens to be the least active when it comes to the seismological activity. So when it comes to zone 5, we have the entire northeast India, parts of Jammu and Kashmir, Uttarakhand, Run of Kutch in Gujarat, part of North Bihar and Andaman and Nicobar Islands. Is Delhi in this particular bracket? No. Since Delhi is out of this zone 5, the answer would be 1 and 2 only. Now let's look into the next practice question. Which of the following statements about remdesivir is or correct? The drug prevents the virus from producing a particular enzyme, RNA dependent RNA polymerase, that is necessary for the virus to replicate itself. The drug has also been shown to shorten the duration of patient hospital stays. Which of the statements are correct? The answer to this is both. Why have we taken this practice question? Because of the reference given in this article. Now, the most important factor is we have to understand why remdesivir is administered to the patient. As given in the option, there is one of the enzymes that is required for the virus to increase or expand or increase its particular lifetime. That happens to be RNA dependent RNA polymerase. When this particular injection is given to the patient, this will prevent the virus to replicate, that is to multiply. Apart from this, when remdesivir is administered to the patient, the stay of the patient at the hospital will also reduce as well. So the impact of COVID-19 to the patient will be minimized, which is why remdesivir is being administered to the patient. Who will be administering it? It is the healthcare workers who will be administering it to the patients. So the ones who will be hospitalized because of COVID-19, who have mild, moderate or severe symptoms of COVID-19, will be administered with remdesivir. Now the question is, why is there a shortage of remdesivir in India? That is because of the increase in the COVID-19 cases. In the past 1 month, before the past 1 month, we did not have much of activity. In fact, we did have COVID-19 cases as well, but it was not so strong. It was not so drastic as well. But all of a sudden, what we are witnessing is a spike when it comes to the COVID-19 cases, because there is an increase of the COVID-19 activity, and at the same time there is increase in the hospitalization of the patients, which is what is resulting in the shortage of the antiviral drug remdesivir. When we go back to the months of November and December, in fact Jan and Feb as well, the activities of COVID-19 or number of patients who fell ill because of COVID-19 had drastically reduced, which is why we have the manufacturing entities had also reduced the output or the manufacturing with respect to the remdesivir. So the manufacturing had dropped because there was less activity of the COVID-19 infection, which is why most of the manufacturers felt that they don't have to increase the particular manufacturing. This is also another indirect cause. One is because of the increasing COVID-19 cases, and the other, the manufacturing had also dropped because the number of cases had dropped substantially in December and January. What has the government done in order to boost the productivity? One, it has requested the manufacturing entities to increase the production, and at the same time the exports when it comes to India has also been restricted. So remdesivir will not be exported from India, and the central government has asked all the manufacturing entities to showcase how much of the products are being manufactured, who are their distributors, how much of remdesivir do we have in India, so that we have a transparent system and accountability that is held in reference to the remdesivir. It is this that we have to understand in reference to this prelims practice question. Now let's look into the next practice question. With reference to red herring prospectus, which of the following statements is or correct? It is the preliminary registration document prepared by merchant bankers for prospective IPO making companies in case of book building issues. It contains details of either price, number of shares being offered, or the amount of issue. With reference to red hair prospecting, which of the statements are correct? The answer to this is one only. Why have we taken this practice question? Because of the reference given in this article. Before we understand what is this red herring prospectus, let's have a fair bit of an idea with respect to the initial public offering. What is this initial public offering? Let's say, for example, there is one of the companies. This company is being run by a family, or let's say a group of friends come together, they build a particular company and the management will include only the friends. So it is either being run by the family or by the friends, or there is a management that is involved which is running this particular company. But all of a sudden they realize that they want to expand this particular company and its operations. So what do? That is where they want to engage with the public. So the very first time a company offers its stock for sale to the public is what is called as the initial public offering. So the public shares will be issued by this particular company to raise the capital from the public. So before an IPO, a company is considered private because it is run only by the friends or by the family or by the management of that particular company, but they want to expand it to the general public, where they collect the capital from the general public. How do they do it? That is what is called as the initial public offering. In line with the initial public offering, what we have is called as the red herring prospectus. What is it? It is a preliminary registration document. What will they do? They will have all the idea about the company's business operations, who will be its promoters, what will be the financial status of this particular company, how would they want to raise money from the general public, and where will this particular money be used, and how much of the risk is involved in the investment in the company. So basically all this is defined in the red herring prospectus. But when it comes to the red herring prospectus, it does not contain the details either of the price or of the number of shares or the amount of issue. So this basically means the price is not disclosed by that particular company, the number of shares is not disclosed by that particular company, the upper and lower price may not necessarily be disclosed by that particular company when it comes to the red herring prospectus. Since they need not have to disclose, the second option would be wrong. So the answer would be one only. Now let's look into the next practice question. Python 5 recently seen in use is an anti-tank guided missile, air-to-air missile, surface-to-air missile, or surface-to-surface missile. The answer to this is air-to-air missile. Why have we taken this practice question? Because of the reference given in the PIB article. What is it about Python 5? This happens to be a 5th generation air-to-air missile. So this was tested on Tejas, which happens to be the India's indigenous light combat aircraft. This is one of the air-to-air missile which is manufactured by a company called as the Rafael Advanced Defense System. This particular company has its operations that is run from Israel. So this happens to be an Israeli company, and this particular Python is an air-to-air missile. This Python air-to-air missile happens to be the most accurate, reliable missile, that which is produced by this Israeli company. This also has some of the sophistications that is required to hit a particular target. It has the beyond visual range missile capability. It is capable of lock on after the launch capability as well, which is why India has selected this particular missile for its operations on the air-to-air front. Now let's look into the next practice question. With reference to Indian Regional Navigation Satellite System, consider the following statements. IRNSS has 3 satellites in geostationary and 4 satellites in geosynchronous orbits. IRNSS covers entire India and about 5,500 square kilometer beyond its borders. India will have its own satellite navigation system with full global coverage by the middle of 2019. Which of the statements given above is or correct? The answer to this is one only. Why have we taken this practice question? Because of the reference to the NAVIC. IRNSS is now called as NAVIC. What is it about this question? When you look into the first question, yes, IRNSS, which is now called as NAVIC, has 3 satellites in the geostationary and it has 4 satellites in the geosynchronous orbit. So the first option is right. So one has to be present. But when you look into the third option, we do not have one here and we do not have one here. So it has to be 2, which we have to check with. So IRNSS covers entire India and about 5,500 square kilometer. This is a wrong option. Why? Because the NAVIC covers about 1,500 kilometer within Indian mainland area. So the answer to this particular question would be one only, because it is not 5,500 but instead it is 1,500. Now let's look into the fact of the day. The fact of the day for today's discussion would be Agriculture Infrastructure Fund. What is this Agriculture Infrastructure Fund? When it comes to India, approximately 58% of the country is engaged in the agriculture and its allied activities. And when it comes to the employment opportunities, agriculture and its allied activities provide most of the employment opportunities. In order to make sure there is strengthening of the agricultural structure in terms of the infrastructure, what we have is the Agriculture Infrastructure Fund. Let's understand what is the importance of this particular fund. Let's say when it comes to India, we have 2 types of farmers. One is the small and the marginal farmer. Then you have those farmers who have huge swathes of land under their control. Our primary discussion, let's say, would be in reference to the small farmers. What exactly happens with respect to the small and the marginal farmers? They have less amount of land. Let's say about less than 2 hectares of land. So the yield that they generate from this particular land will also be less as well. So in order for them to generate the profits, they have to sell this particular crop as well as this yield. But what happens after they have their yield? After they have harvested their crops, they also go through some losses. Why losses? That is because they have to put either this into the store or they have to sell this immediately, but they'll not be able to sell immediately, which is why they have to keep it in a store or a cold storage so that they can safeguard this and sell it eventually. But there is problem in India when it comes to the post harvest infrastructure, which is why the government of India has come up with this infrastructure fund called as the Agriculture Infrastructure Fund. So what is this fund? This happens to be a central sector scheme that allows a particular banking sector to award loans to entrepreneurs, to companies or any other individual so that they can create what is called as the post-harvest infrastructure. So investments in terms of post-harvest infrastructure and community farming assets will be increased by this particular infrastructure fund. So duration for the scheme will be for about 10 years from 2020 up until 2029. So under the scheme, about 1 lakh crore will be provided by the banks and the financial institutions and loans to whom it includes primary agricultural credit society, FPOs, marketing cooperative societies, joint liability groups, self-help groups, multi-purpose cooperative societies, startups, agri entrepreneurs, central or state agency or local body sponsored public private partnership projects. So all that these organizations will do is to increase what is called as the post-harvest infrastructure. So what are these post-harvest infrastructure? It can be supply chain services, including e-marketing platforms, warehouses, silos, pack houses, assaying units, sorting and grading units, cold chains, logistic facilities, primary processing units and ripening chambers and other viable projects as well. In case they are able to build this particular project from this particular money given by the banks and the financial institutions, it will help multiple sectors. Which are these multiple sectors? One, the major stakeholder will be the farmer. So the farmer would be able to save his crops after the harvest. So it is the farmer who will generate the benefit. Then the government will also be generating the benefit. How? Because it is helping the farmers. It is helping the farmers to get enough money for their produce. Then we have the agri entrepreneurs and startup who push for the innovation in the agriculture sector using technologies such as artificial intelligence, internet of things. So this will help in collaboration between the entrepreneurs and the farmers. Then we have the banking ecosystem which will be lending money, so the farmers will also be in a upper hand. Why? He need not have to go to the middleman to get this particular money at exorbitant prices. And at the same time, what we will have is the banking system which is now given protection by this particular fund, so they will have the refinance facilities. And finally, when it comes to the consumers, a large share of the produce will reach the market and consumers will be able to benefit from better quality as well as the prices. It is this that we have to understand in reference to this agriculture infrastructure fund. So this is it for today. Thank you for watching. All the best.